Hello and welcome back to my TV channel. My name is IJ Formado and this is Hangout on Screen, which is that laid back on the couch kind of show where we talk about all things Jesus, and I basically get to share my life with you with the hope to inspire you to be all that you can be. Not that I'm already all that I can be, but I'm on my journey doing that every day because I am a woman who has refused to live short-changed. I have decided that I'm going to take advantage of the grace of God. I take advantage of wisdom and strategy to be everything that God has called me to be. And I am driven by this passion, which is to raise strong women who fulfill destiny fully, who fully fulfill their destiny. I understand that part of the problems we have in life is that we do not see enough people around us who can say, okay, this is how I did it and it worked for me, do it this way. And sometimes we need inspiration. Sometimes you just need to see a picture that something is working, and that is part of why I'm here to share my life with you, talk about my successes, my mistakes, the things that I do, and with the hope that you will learn a thing or two and see something you can apply, but most importantly inspire you that you can be everything that God has called you to be. I always tell people that no matter how broken you might have been, how broke you are, or how busy you are, they can always express the dreams that God has put in your heart. You just need to know what to do, and I can be your plug to do that. But today on Hangouts on Screen, I'm just here to share my life with you. So in this season, I have been sharing my life with you. I'll share with you the different aspects of my life. Like I said, planning is my plug. I use planning to achieve a lot of things, and with planning I've been able to be effective at all my roles together: as a woman, my role as a child of God, as a volunteer in church, but as a wife, as a mother, of course not in the same order of priorities I'm mentioning, but just general. As a wife, as a mother, as an employee, as a visionary, a pioneer of a vision, and a couple of other things. As a sister, as a daughter, I use planning to draw the balance and make sure that the wheels are kept moving smoothly or almost smoothly in the face of challenges. So today I want to share with you how I keep myself mentally fit, how I develop myself, how I plan my self-development to ensure that I am adequately equipped to be the woman that God has called me to be. The Bible says that study to show yourself approved, a workman that is not ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So for me, I believe that study is really important. I always say that the tree that God will cut down with a blunt knife, if you give him a sharper knife, he'll do a better job. So while we trust God for grace and everything, people will be like, I went to an interview, I was not even qualified, I did not do anything, God favored me. That is great. But it will be also nice when you work in and you are qualified for it and you're looking like it, and then when they look at your CV and then they start interacting with you, they find out that you're a Christian. So you're not just a Christian, you're also representing. That's really, 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 really nice. And when you do things right, you help people to help you. I believe that no matter what stage you are, no matter what your challenges, you can create time, you can become what God has called you to be. And everything I'm doing revolves around the fact that I'm busy, yes, but I will still do other things. Like I'm busy as a wife, I'm busy as a mom, I don't have a help, I'm busy as an employee and other things, but you still have to find time for the other things. In my previous video, I talked about fun, which was the term I used to refer to relaxation and rejuvenating my emotional energy. So I basically just called it emotional fitness. So today I'm talking about mental fitness, self-development. Now my mental fitness falls under another category because the first is faith, the second is fitness, the third for me is flourish. So my mental fitness falls under flourish. But hey, you don't need to use that cover. It's just for me. Though I'm probably going to write a book on it where I might just, time might just be different, but don't need to let that bother you. Just let's focus on the self-development. So basically my self-development is broadly divided into two. I have the formal education and the informal education. I'm going to try and make this very brief. Formal education, I've been promising this for the past 3 videos, so I'm going to try and keep my word now. I just love sharing from my heart and hoping that you're inspired. So formal education for me refers to any kind of education I do where I technically have a proof for it that is tangible and scalable. When I mean tangible, a proof that I can present anywhere and is scalable, can be used for anything. For example, a degree, an MBA, a certification. Those for me are formal educations. So I always try to, there was a time when I was targeting a certification every quarter, and there are seasons when I target a certification every 6 months. There are some certifications that are just, they are not the types you can tender somewhere, So for me, those ones fall under informal. I'm going to talk about. But when I talk about formal, I'm talking about the ones that you can tender anywhere. Like CBAP certification, like ITIL. Maybe because I'm in IT, I'm calling IT related. Maybe for another one, Scrum. No, that one is even IT. ICCA, ICANN, beautiful, all those certifications, so that's it. And then we have the MBA, or masters generally, or PGD or degree. But anything that's, for me, I like to say anything that involves technically a school, and this certificate is scalable. So for me, I put that formal education, and I always try to ensure that I'm working towards informal education at every point in time. I try not to over labor it, try to do one at a time. Most of the bulk of my reading is under informal, because I tell people that informal education is very good. The advantage of formal education is that it's a structured thing, but even at that, there's still a lot of informal that is quite structured. So really, and because those ones, formal education too can be expensive if you want to go for the very good ones. Like, I don't think there's any good certification that is cheap, really, except maybe Scrum, that's just about $100 or $150. But even at that, if you don't know what to do, the class itself, it's another like $100 or $150, if not $200. So in the past 2 years, I did Scrum, I did CBAP, and then I did though I did not take the exam, but I got the certificate. I wanted to take the exam, but after reporting, I was like, okay, you know what, I just want to concentrate on IT. I could come back to it, but I was like, maybe I don't need the certificate really. But I got, and I don't need the CBAP itself, but I got the certificate of completion, which is something that you can put on a LinkedIn profile. I can't remember if I put it on LinkedIn profile, but it's something I put on. Then from there, I moved on to Yali. I did Yali Fellow, where I'm Yali Regional ROLC. From there, I moved on to my MBA that I'm currently doing. So this is just the history of my past 2 years. I've done some things before now. So that, for me, that's my formal education. Now, the second is informal. And under informal, there are lots of it. There are probably like 3 or 4. I'll just try and share them. The first for me under formal, in that informal, is what I call leader books. Now, I borrowed that term from a very dear senior colleague of mine that I've never met him. I probably only chatted him in his DM once. No, that doesn't count for anything. I've not met him, but I call him a senior colleague because he's into productivity too, which is part of what I do, planning and productivity. So he's into productivity. His name is Michael Hyatt. He's an amazing man. You should check him out really on Instagram and on LinkedIn and on internet, michaelhyatt.com. Yes. So he has this, I don't know if he still runs a subscription now, but there was a point where he used to run subscription. So what he does is that he helps busy professionals read big books in dates, so he has a strategy for that. I don't really know how he did it. I never really subscribed. He's in America, but I just liked the name Leader Books anyway, so I coined it. And what do I call Leader Books? Leader Books is any book that I read, whether it's hard copy or e-copy, it's Leader Books. So all these books that we buy and we read, books by John Maxwell, books by Miles Monroe, books by anyone at all, is Leader Books for me. Now, under Leader Books, I broke them further. I have Faith Books, which is any book that has to do with building my faith. I have Fitness Books, which has to do with anything that builds my fitness. Books on health, like Joyce Meyer wrote 1 or 2 books on health. I think Lisa Bever also wrote a book on health that I have, but I know Joyce's own very well. And then I have this book too on eating and diet, and not dieting, but calorie management or something of that nature. So those are my fitness boxes. Then I also have inspiration box, which is anything that has to do with inspiration, anything that inspires you, Then I have finance box, which is any book on marriage. Then marriage, any book on finance. Then I have family box, which is any book on marriage and parenting. Then I have planning productivity box, which has to do with any book on life planning, minimalism, and all those things. So that's how I broke them down. The reason I broke them down is because I have different approaches to reading. I'm going to share with you. So the first approach is, sometimes I could draw up a timetable, like a school timetable, and I say, okay, I'm going to be reading for 15 minutes every day, for example, or 30 minutes every day. I know it sounds small, but the game changer here is consistency. So I tell myself, I'm going to be reading for 20 minutes every day, or even 30 minutes if I have to up to that. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to, on Monday, I'll read Faith Box. On Tuesday, I read Fitness Box. Now, I've heard about some people that say that they are typically like that. They don't like to read only one book at a time. I'm like that. I love to read more than one book. But if I'm going to read one book, let me not read it more than a week. Do you understand? So it depends on what works for you. If you're someone that wants one book, you just stick to one book. But I just divided them up to be able to guide me on where I'm going to. I usually like to start the week with a faith box, and end it with a family box. I like to start it with a faith box because you start with God, and I love to end it with a family box because I end on a Saturday, and Saturday I have more time, and then I can read something on marriage, something on parenting. So that's it for leader box. The next one that I do under informal is anything that has to do with coaching. Now, I don't do that all the time, but if I ever need to do that, I put it under informal. Coaching could be, now there was a time I wanted to see if I could do some form of coaching every quarter, because the truth is that somebody said something, I think it was one of those very popular coaches outside the country. He has a B in his name, I can't remember, but I think he went to meet a coach, and then when he came back, I think his child asked him, "Daddy, why did you go to see a coach? You're a coach." He now said, "Because you can't see yourself from the outside," or something of that nature. You always need someone to be able to pull you out of you. So many times you know that you're capable of something, but you're not just making that progress. You need someone to pull you out of you. We see coaching accountability is powerful. It's really powerful. So I was thinking of having one. I was like, okay, maybe I'll have coaching on spirituality, and I wanted to. I know Firebrand has a lot of courses. Firebrand, by the way, is a movement led by Pastor Debola Deji Kurumbi, DDK. I'm sure that it's someone you know, but if you don't know her, you can just check her out online. Debola Deji Kurumbi, she's amazing. Just look for Firebrand Movement Nigeria, firebrand.ng. So I was going to do that first quarter of the month, and then I was going to do a form of coaching for my body, for physical coaching, like health. Like just stay, you should have a coach too that I go to and listen to, who tells me, okay, eat this, not that, bend like this, not like that, because I actually know some of these things, but I just wanted to just keep it ever fresh and do that. Then in the third quarter, I was going to do financial coaching, link up with someone who will then coach me, financially every year. Let me learn something, have access to a coach where I can, because the good thing about learning with a coach is that is why you should pay attention to the kind of coaches you use, not just anybody. Make sure that it's someone you can see some results, or what they tell you, makes sense to you, signs with you, and you can see that they know what they are doing. Because usually the coach is going to answer those questions that you'll get from reading things on the internet, but nobody's answering you, So a coach guides you, answers all those questions, does the hard work for you to break down this thing. That's the beautiful thing about, you have a problem, you take it back to the coach, and the coach works with you, to see how you can resolve it, as opposed to just learning on the internet by yourself. So and actually after you do it every 6 months, like look for a course I can do, spiritual coaching course I can do for. Funny enough, I am a coach, you understand, but like I said, it's always good to have someone who you can also talk to. Like every coach has a coach, needs a coach. So I could actually do spiritual, and that doesn't mean I go around throwing my money anyhow, or just saying, okay, this is my time to do spiritual coaching, so what am I going to look for? Or this is my time to do physical coaching, or what am I going to If I sense that there's no need for it, I won't do it. But I just have it in the back of my mind that I might, because coaching sharpens you. But before I do anything, I ask God, I pray, I think, I ask myself questions. And if I sense there's no need, I'll leave it and I move on. So I just put it there, with that, like, okay, this is what I want to do. But as I'm getting close to that time, still confirm with God. David never lost the battle, not because he was very smart, even though he tried, but because he always asked God. He never used yesterday's strategy for today's battle. They always changed. Even when it looked like it was the same situation, you come and ask God, should I go? Will you give it to me? So it's always good. Even when you make long-term plans, just before you move into the month to plan, just before you move into the quarter, I plan 90 days, but I have a very loose yearly plan stretching up to 3-5 years. Before I enter into the quarter, God, this is what we're supposed to do. Should we continue it? Are you changing it? Do you understand? The same thing with monthly and the rest. So do that. So that's what from a coaching for me is. Another type is freestyle. Now, freestyle for me is where I read anything that is outside of a typical book. Now, I forgot to tell you that when it comes to leader books, I also do Blinkist is part of my leader book. So because I don't have a lot of time, any book that has more than 100 pages is a turn up for me. And I usually don't like it when I see a book, I love the title, I love the author, I want to read it, and then it's 100 or 200 pages or 300 pages. Like, I don't have that time, and I really need to finish it and move on to something else. Now, I must say that if it's something that is really, really, like there's a book I'm reading now, it's more than 100 pages, but I'm reading it. Do you understand? But a lot of times, I don't have this thing. So I do a lot of 100-page books and all that, but Blinkist has always been is a game changer for me. So freestyle is any other free thing that you read. For example, you could make a mental note that you want to research. Maybe you saw something. Maybe you want to buy a bicycle, and you. It will be very nice for you to do some research for the bicycle, but if your time is accounted for, it's something you plan. So you're planning on that freestyle reading. Freestyle reading is loose. There is no strategy to it. It's a time where you just read things that pique your interest or catch your fancy, or where you just do some research. And it's also the time where you can read magazines. Maybe, except that magazine has something specific that you could qualify it as any other, but if not, it's really freestyle reading. And during those freestyle reading, you basically just freestyle. Like, it's not structured, So that's it. Now, I basically read in two ways. I either read the pages approach or the minutes approach. Now, I could say that I want to read 5 pages a day. This is beautiful because it helps me for speed, but it might not help me for quality, because if I have 20 minutes to read and I want to read 5 pages, I'll be rushing to finish the 5 pages and might sacrifice quantity for quality. But the second way to read is minutes approach. That one, you just say you're reading for 20 minutes. Even if it's one paragraph, you stay on, because the rema is too much, you stay there. At least you know that you read, and you take it off and you spend 20 minutes. At the end of the month, it doesn't matter that you finished the book or not, but it matters what you learned from it, because for me, quality over everything. So that's how part of the way that I read. So that's about it here. I'll be with you in the comments. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to drop or have contributions. I look forward to it. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I'll see you again, same station, same time next week. Bye bye.